Hello guys, my name is Miguel and welcome to Rush the Wash. Now in today's video I would like to show you the process I went through to print my own copy of Warhammer Quest 1995. The one that you see over there is my original copy, but I wanted to create one on my own, a full functioning game, so I can show you that you can get your own without paying an arm and a leg on eBay. The prices this game is fetching nowadays are absolutely crazy, so I strongly recommend that you stay tuned. Get some scissors, some little bit of glue here and there, and get ready because we're starting right now. So for the project you're gonna need a few tools that you might not have, so I'm gonna depict the ones that I used so you can get access to them or buy yourself some. An X-Acto knife, a steel ruler, some quick dry glue that dries transparent, that there is no stain whatsoever left after it dries, and this is a corner cutter that you're gonna need for the cards, or you can get some card sleeves that are gonna keep them safe once you print them. I strongly recommend that you get yourself a laminator and some laminating film, and also this thing, a guillotine cutter and a long stapler, which is not gonna be needed that much, and 300-gram paper beyond the paper that you're gonna use. I have used my Canon Pixma. This is a very good printer. It has a lot of ink and it doesn't use that much whenever it's printing. And this is a PVC foam sheet with 2mm thickness that is going to be the basis for most of my map tiles. Besides all the materials, you're gonna need obviously access to the PDFs or scans of the tiles, the cards, etc, etc. There are many places where you can get these, but you need to find them on your own. But if you like the video, I will give the links below in the description, so do that. And as you can see, when I was printing them, I was finding some lines in the printing process that were quite unsightly, which meant that my printer needed an ink flush. It needed to be cleaned a little bit, and then it started working fine. This is because I haven't used my printer in a while and it needed a little bit of maintenance. If your printer is new, or if you haven't used your printer or whatever, make sure that you do that before you start printing proper. Do a test run, and that's gonna save you some headaches like the ones that I got. Now here I was printing the cards and I was trying to get them aligned back and forth, and I followed the instructions on the screen and it seems that it was working fine. You see, I was quite happy about that. Everything seemed to be online, but when I compare it to the other side, I put it against the light, and then I saw that there was a mistake over there. So this meant that I had to go back and check the alignment of the paper, see that that notch was not appearing every time, and it meant a lot of time spent on that. So I was fighting with this freaking printer, and it seems that the problem is not the printer itself. Is the document has 1/10 of an inch that is shorter on one margin than the other. So anyways, I'm gonna use them as they are. So I have here two sets, the dungeon and the treasure set, but I made a mistake printing the event set, and this is what happened. And I got the two sides on one side, and gave me an idea, a very interesting one. Well, see, it was at this moment that I had an epiphany. How about instead of printing the regular 28mm scale Warhammer Quest, I did something a little bit different. And because I have the cards and they were smaller, and this accident of sorts gave me this idea, I decided that I will do a crazy thing. I will do a smaller version of it because I wanted to take this back to my hometown in Spain, and I wanted to play with my friends during the summertime, and I wanted to have something over there without having to bring the whole game with me. So it was decided I will be printing both versions, the 30mm or 28mm version and a half size one, and it was just going to happen. This is one of the most important things that need to be done when you're creating your own copy of Warhammer Quest. That's why the laminator is so important. I have put a link below where you can find one on Amazon, and if you use that code, if you use that link to buy it, you help the channel tremendously. These things are not very expensive and they are quite useful. Me being a teacher, I use it all the time to make materials for my classes, and I have used it for games so much that I don't know what I will do without one of them. Laminating creates a protective layer on every material that you create, cards or the tiles that we're going to use in the game, and it also normalizes the colors on the print. It means that that layer is going to create like a lacquer, a very strong one, by the way. You can use even markers, dry erase markers and whatnot, to put on top of your different things, and this way it looks like a professional finish. The difference is very, very noticeable. Maybe you cannot see it on the video, but it's absolutely noticeable. So yes, absolutely get yourselves a laminator if you're gonna do this. You will never regret it, believe me. Another thing that is very useful is this cutter that you can see here. If I was going to do everything with a small X-Acto knife and a ruler, it will have taken 6 times the amount of time that I use on the printing process over here. And I absolutely love using that guillotine. It was very helpful. Here I'm making the small handbooks that you're gonna use on the game, and as you can see, I printed them also half size, and I laminated the exterior so it's a little bit more sturdier and shiny. And that's where I'm going to use the long stapler, because otherwise you cannot reach the middle of the spine of the book and staple it accordingly. So it takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of folding and making sure that everything is cut correctly, the bleed lines are gone, and then you will have a very nice, sturdy, quite similar to the finished product from Games Workshop on both books. I tried to print the role-playing game book, but it's so big that I wouldn't find a way to actually do the stapling, so I decided to not do it and just use the 2 basic books. And this is where the corner cutter is going to be useful. The cards have been cut, laminated, and now I'm getting rid of those unsightly corners in the cards very easily, very fast, as you can see. So it's day 2 of the great printout. I'm quite pleased with what I achieved yesterday, and so far this is where we are right now. And I got the 2 handbooks printed, the adventure book and the rule book. Today is going to be a lot of gluing going on. One more day of printing, and I think I'm gonna have most of the game done, if not everything finished. So wish me luck, because I'm working and I'm printing at the same time. So day 2, we're starting by printing the different monsters. These are standees. I wanted to make sure that I made most of the things out of printing. I used the 300-gram paper here. This needs to be fed manually on the printer, because the printer is used to, 70, 80, 90 grams paper. And this is quite thick. It's like a cardboard consistency. And I wanted to use this because I wanted to not laminate the figures, and I wanted to make them sturdy and thick looking. So it takes a little bit of cutting, invaluable use of the guillotine, and then you just need to fold each one of them individually because you want to glue back and forth. And here I'm using some PVA white glue, the Old Faithful, mix it with a little bit of water, and then I use a brush, put that, fold it, stick it together, and use these clips so it gets to be properly glued, because otherwise the cardboard is gonna go back to its original position, and this is not gonna happen. So leave it there for 15-20 minutes and then continue gluing more and more. While the standees are drying, I'm going to use a 2mm PVC board, and I'm gonna glue the different sections to it. I had 2 ways of doing this. This is the first way, and it was like measuring each one of the pieces, putting the piece on top of it with the use of the glue that I showed you before. This is why it's crucial that you get yourself a quick dry glue that dries transparently, that there is no color, nothing, no stains whatsoever, because you're gonna leave some tracks here and there when you do this. And I did this before with other tiles. This video is the second try that I do because I wanted to show how to build some tilage. And believe me, if you have a glue that doesn't dry transparently, it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Well, it's been another long day again, and I have been gluing floor plans, and I have been preparing the paper miniatures that are gonna be with the mini version. And these are, right now, they are like drying out. Sorry, focus. Still all these to be glued and cropped, and some of them are already done and they look quite nice actually, as you can see, quite solid, quite sturdy. This is the mini version. So yeah, I'm gonna call it a break right now because I really need to go out and see something else that is not squares and Warhammer and miniatures and dungeon floors and whatnot. Although it's night, I don't care. I'm just gonna enjoy my time out. De psica.
Pis, pis.
When you're doing these kind of projects, I absolutely understand that you need to take breaks like this. I went out for a walk. I think I walked like 7 times around my block. I saw the kitty cat that lives over here. I feed it as much as I can, as often as I can. And that gives you a little bit of, pause, taking a shower. Those things help you doing this. As you can see, I was cropping the different standees to make them look a little bit more organic. And then the next day, I woke up quite refreshed. And after I had glued most of the things onto the PVC, instead of measuring each one of them individually, I started cutting them, and I was like cropping them with the X-Acto knife, so I make sure that there are no unsightly white leftovers on the sides. So this is where we are at now. I did the exact same thing for the tokens in the game because I wanted them to feel thick, to feel sturdy. Well, in retrospective, if I had to do this again, I might go through the easy path, the easy alley of just printing them on paper, maybe printing back and forth, making sure that I had the same drawings in both places, and I will just laminate them. The good thing about the PVC sheet is that it's not foam core, it's not wood, it is very easy to cut, and it's very sturdy, and it's very solid, and it's waterproof. I mean, it works absolutely fine for this. I like it so much, and I was pondering about many options. I was considering many other alleys, but then I realized I could use it for the bases of the standees as well. So I got my glue gun, cut some 2 by 2 centimeter pieces, and then I just stuck the standees to them very fast, and that's it. I call it a day for the miniatures so far. For the next part, I'm gonna give you the link to this. I created my own standees for the gates, the doors. So what I did is I took one of the ones that I had painted for my core game, took a picture, and then I created this standee on my Corel Draw. First of all, I needed to clean each one of the photos that I took, getting rid of the white background from the table, and then I put them on Corel Draw, and then I sort them out so I could make sure that I had both sides and they were correctly aligned. I will print them on paper, laminate them, put them on bases, and then I will have this color gates and doors, giving the three-dimensionality that we're looking for on a miniature game, even though we're using paper in this case. So I'm gonna give you the link below if you want to download this. These are meant for printing on a small scale, but if you scale them up, you will have these at the size of your choice. It is time to laminate them as well, because as I told you, I want them to look shiny and to be very durable. And I mean, the game is meant to be gamed with, so if you laminate each one of those, it's gonna last forever. I cropped the corners because I wanted to use them as they are, but this is the end of the day and I'm not very sharp on my wits, so you will see what happens later. I'm cutting some standee bases for them. 6 centimeters is the width of the door, so I'm gonna add a couple of centimeters on each side so they are long enough. And then I decided to carve all the bases a little bit because the cuts are not absolutely straight, they are not 90 degrees going down, you know, they don't look perfect. So doing this carving meant that it will look absolutely fine. This is a war zone. Wish me luck. This is how I start every day. I just get a big mug of coffee. I thought that there was something inside of it, probably a plastic bit, because my table was horrible. It was full of these small chips that I had been cutting from all the different bases. And then I have another one of the epiphanies, and it's like, man, I have all these different miniatures. They are cropped, and I'm gonna use these black doors against, you know, these nice doors against the black background. It doesn't look nice. I want to see a hole through them, and I decided to just go through it. I was, you know, the coffee was good enough that it made me go ahead and crop each one of these doors manually. It was an interesting process. I wouldn't mind doing it again, let's be honest, but it's not the most fun thing that you're doing right here. However, the final result I think is gonna be totally worth it. I get the bases for the doors and I repeat the process, glue gun, and then you just get the cutouts and just put it on top of them. And that way I will get proper doors with proper openings so people can see through them. I need to clean the room. I cannot deal with untidiness, and that meant that I had to vacuum clean and everything, all the cutouts that we had for 3 days of doing this. And yeah, after that I was kind of not smelling right, so you know, take a shower and get back to it after you do this. This is where we are right now. They look quite good, but I think a little bit of extra work is needed. So I'm gonna put some sand on the bases, and that way we're gonna make sure that the glue is not there. And I make a mixture between sand, a little bit of gravel, white paint, cheap acrylic white paint, and white glue, mix all together, make this kind of cement or paste, and with an old brush I just put it on the bases for every single one of the miniatures. This challenge is rush the wash, so obviously we're gonna need to use a wash or a contrast paint, and this is what happened. We let the bases dry, and then we used a brush to do this. Don't use a small brush, it's a waste of time. Get a big one, something that you can control, and then just go at it and sit down through the process. Once you finish and everything is dry, it's time to get out a couple of different colors because we want to create some interesting bases. And for this I use my FW, the Roundney, and I use the sepia color and that other very nice green color. I'm gonna leave links below on Amazon where you can get this. Make sure that you check those out, and as I said, if you buy from my links, you help the channel tremendously. And here I'm just putting a little bit of green with my previous brush, the small one, because I want a little bit of, you know, control here. I'm just adding this as if it was like lichen or lichen. How do you say that? I think it's lichen. Yeah.
In British English, this is pronounced lichen. The American pronunciation, lichen, lichen, or lichen. How do you pronounce it? Where are you from?
What the f? But not happy with that, I included some woodland scenics bush, so we create more interesting aspects on the bases. Now the miniatures are small, and adding these small details, it, you know, makes them pop. They are standees, but they don't need to look cheap. Whilst everything is drying, I use my B&J, the Masters, brush cleaner and preserver to take care of the brushes, because using white glue and washes goes into the bristles and it's not ideal. This thing works perfectly for my own needs, and I strongly recommend check the link below and get yourself one. And in order to finish it all off, I get my minis once dry outside and I give them a thick coat of gloss coat testors lacquer in order to make sure that when we handle them, we are not gonna stain them with our Dorito fingers and whatnot. Okay, so yeah, that's the reason for this. The fact that Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer Quest are still this popular tells you a lot about the legacy that these games have left in the minds of people. It might be nostalgia, it might be something else, or maybe this is the good period of Games Workshop. Everything is up to debate. But the amount of love that the community has shown for this, and some members in particular, like Alberto or Little Monk or Spiny Norman, have shown for this game, it's flabbergasting. It is because of them that we can find these materials and print our own copies or complete the collections with the things that we cannot find anymore. Overall, this is a great project for a couple of friends, or maybe if you have children and you want to show them how this game was and you don't want to dish out the amount of money that they're asking for original copies, sometimes in debatable condition on second-hand markets. It takes a couple of days, a little bit of time, a little bit of patience, but I think it pays off. And it's a great addition to your collection of games, something that you can use on the weekends, on those days off that you don't want to be in front of the telly or playing video games. You just want to sit down with your friends, roll some dice, go down, go deep into the entrails of Earth and fight monsters for treasure, glory, and 1d3 minotaurs that are gonna finish you off on the first run. My name is Miguel, thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you back on Rush the Wash, and I hope to catch you on the next video. Bye!